Okay, listeners, this one's going to be a fun one. Today on the podcast, we have Margaret Cunningham. If you don't know her, you should. She is a master colorist, also known as the color connoisseur, fellow midlifer, wife, mom, softball coach, dog mama, and so much more. Welcome, Margaret. So, listeners, today we're going to talk to Margaret about things like the craziest thing she's heard in the chair, what your tween or teen, if you have one, needs to know about highlighting their hair, and a whole lot more.
Yes. We are so excited to have you. And just a side note, Margaret has done wonders for both Julie and I. And so while you might not be able to see us right now, our hair always looks fabulous. And that is thanks to you, Margaret. Truly, truly, like the day after I see you is probably the best day of my 3 month stint. So thank
I
you.
must say that you 2 could not be better walking billboards for Gloss Hair Studio. I think, Gabrielle has been working with you, Julie, and, like, your hair when you left the salon the other day, I kinda turned around and was like, "Holy mother." Like, she has a good head of hair. And then Jenny, you just walk around, like, literally, you won't have done your hair for days, actually. And I'm like, "Wow, that just knocked that one out of the park. Like that girl can walk and not wash her hair and we're good." Like, so between the 2 of you, I feel like the whole team at Gloss has worked with you at some point and it's been amazing. So thank you for always supporting us also. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Margaret, let's dive in with the topic I think all of our listeners really want to know out of the gate. What's the single most jaw-dropping thing you've ever heard in the chair?
Okay, I mean, I could actually write an entire book just on stuff people have said to me in the chair. Number 1, just always know, I always joke it's like a HIPAA violation if I repeat it.
Mhm, mhm.
So I will say I would never use someone's name. I think that is the biggest no-no in the career.
Mm.
But no, honestly, I mean, I learned a lot behind the chair. I started, in my 20s and now I'm in my 40s. And I learned all about what furries are. And people think that's a new thing. It is not. I remember in 2013, I learned about butt plugs that had tails on them.
I actually have something to add here. No, I'm not a furry. I accidentally stumbled upon an actual furry convention in the Boston Common around 2010 or
Yeah.
2011.
I mean, this is not a new thing. I was like, I've also like, hairstylists, we really do know everything. We know who's having affairs. We know who's divorcing. We know the swingers. We know the open marriages. I've learned more about the contract of an open marriage. And people are like, there's a contract. I'm like, you have to. There's got to be a contract, right?
Is it? Because I do feel like you know so much. It's almost like therapy. Like, what happens? Why, when someone gets in the chair, is it like no holding back? Like, what? Why do you think that is?
I think because you assume I will never meet your life, right? Like, sometimes clients have seen me roll into a party and they're I mean, they're like, "Oh my god, my
You
hairstylist
know,
is here," but then the next moment is like, "Oh my god, she's about to meet my husband, and she knows he might like certain things." Like, and I'm like, "Girls, you're fine. I won't say a thing." You know what I mean? Like,
Swingers parties?
"No, no, wait, I meant like I walk into a
I know,
PTO party."
I
Like,
know, I know.
but no, I mean, it is one of those things, it's like a known fact that hairstylists I've had so many clients over the years be like, "I don't even need to go to therapy, I just have you." And I think
Yeah,
hairstylists become such a wealth of knowledge of I always have someone I can if someone's having a really bad day, because trust me, I have seen it all at this point, especially, like, I can even just go back to COVID. I started doing wellness checks on people. Some of my happiest clients were suddenly not. Like, and I was actually concerned about them. And I always had someone that I could relate them to. And there's been many times I've been like, "Would you like me to call that client and see if I can connect you 2 to talk about a child needing an IEP, or I think my child's autistic, or a teacher that maybe, teeters over into the world of being able to help you as an advocate, or jobs." So I think hairstylists over the years, we are a connector.
I think that's really what sets you apart, Margaret, is people aren't just coming there for their hair, or maybe they are, but they're leaving with so much more.
That is literally my goal, and I love just making a woman feel just the best they can possibly feel.
You mentioned that you predominantly see women, and I think you probably, if I had to guess, see mostly middle-aged women, which, is a big range. So, being an expert in middle-aged women hair, can you educate us a little bit on what are some of the things that we might not know about how our hair as middle-aged women changes as we get older?
Absolutely. I mean, I would think even I am having to learn more because suddenly I'm learning things that, like, I think back to when I was in my 20s and talking to women, I'm like, I knew nothing. And now that I'm living it, I'm very open about it. I'm not private about it. I actually do have alopecia. I have androgenic, which is actually more of a hormone related one, which many, many women have when they hit perimenopause. Because some of the things that happen when you hit midlife, if we want to call it, the hair growth cycle really changes, and it's due to estrogen and progesterone, and those are the two things you really lose during menopause or perimenopause. You also get scalp sensitivity. There's changes in hormones that also will. A lot of women don't realize, like they'll be like, "I used to have the straightest hair, and now I have curly," and it's like, well, it's almost like you're a teenager again and you're going through another change in life. And like, yes, your texture will become finer, it can become weaker. We're not our 20-year-old selves. Also, a lot of women don't know that they're like, I just feel like my hair actually looks darker. Well, it does. As you start to lose the melanin, which is the color in your hair, it gets darker. So as women start to go darker, I'm like, ooh, she's about to get real gray. And people don't know that. A lot of women don't know the right nutrients either. Like a lot of the nutrients that women are out here buying biotin left and right. And I'm like, dude, they did the best marketing ever. I don't know anyone that's deficient in biotin.
What should we be doing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What should we buy?
Okay, so like some of the things that women really don't realize is iron and magnesium and zinc. These are big ones. Like those are the ones, vitamin D. So I have women all the time telling me all the supplements they're taking. And I'm like, are you taking the K2 with the D3? Because if you're not, those don't work. And are you pumping this together? Like, and that's where I would say that, not that I not don't want to knock a PCP in any way. PCPs are that's not a specialist. So a lot of times like, oh, well, my PCP told me to take a multivitamin. Oftentimes multivitamins are full of sugar. Like, so I want to make sure that they're really getting the right thing. So oftentimes I'm like, hey ladies, divert over to a dermatologist. That's actually who deals with the scalp and hair. Your hormonal area is always gonna be I tell everyone, like, where a headband goes. Like, when you put a headband on your head, anything front of that headband, that's where we tend to see it the most. That's where the thyroid affects the most, that's where stress affects the most, that's
Eh,
where stress is a hormone, people don't always realize that. So when you add in perimenopause where your hormones are all over the place, you add in the stress level of any midlife woman, whether they have children or not, you're in it. You're either taking care of parents, you're taking care of kids, you might be taking care of both. You're in the middle of your career where you're like, "Do I wanna keep fighting that train or do I wanna just, like, stay where I'm at?" Like, there's so much stress going into it, and I think that's a big one that people don't realize. Hair growth is can be affected by estrogen and progesterone loss, or hair loss, I should say.
It's funny, Margaret, because for the longest time, so I my hair is naturally curly. It's very curly. Around 12 or 13 is when it got really curly. But it wasn't until midlife that I realized I used to say, "Oh, I got a perm," and it never went back. It stayed curly. It was the perm of a lifetime. And now I'm like, "Oh, dummy, puberty, meet perm." And now once I had kids and I hit this midlife perimenopausal stage, now it's like the opposite. I have like a bad keratin treatment. Like it's not quite straight and it's not a pretty beach wave either.
Yep.
God damn it, these hormones.
No, I can't tell you how many times I've been told, "I had a perm back when I was 14 and it ruined my hair texture."
Margaret, when I was there once, I overheard a conversation around hair washing. And I, like many women, I'm competitive about how long I can go without washing my hair. We have this common understanding that you shouldn't wash your hair very often. But then I overheard a conversation about that being somewhat of a fallacy. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So I think there's 2 things. 2 things can be true. Actually going longer without washing your hair, of course, it's gonna protect your color. Some people also don't need to wash their hair as often, right? But I will say it's almost it became like you just said, it's like you're competing. And we just meant like don't wash it every day in the hair world, right? We didn't mean like go a month. Your scalp is actually the most important thing for hair growth. So when women are complaining to me about hair not being able to grow, oftentimes I go into scalp health because I'm like, guys, how long are you going? Are you using so much dry shampoo? That's the big one. People overuse dry shampoo, they block their follicle, and then what
Mm,
happens? The hair can't come out.
mm.
And we don't want you washing your hair the day you color it the very next morning. Please don't wash it. You're washing some of your color out because it does take about 48 hours for a cuticle to shut back down after a color. But it is one of those things where people that are going, 14 plus days, that's actually just gross. Like, sorry, Jenny.
For the record, I used to be able to go a week, but I can't anymore.
I start to
Yeah.
look like a slimy city rat by day 4. It's
Well, I
not
think
Yeah.
one of the things that also changes as we're getting older and some women aren't able to go as long is because you are having, whether you realize it or not, some hot flashes at night. You might be sweating a little more. Your hormones are changing. Some women are getting actual hot flashes in the middle of the night. That's all sweat in your hair. So, yeah, I mean, I think the hair wash thing, you should really go based on what your hairstylist tells you.
follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
This is a two-parter. How
I
important is lukewarm water or cool water on your hair in the shower? And the second part of that, somewhat unrelated, is does the pillowcase really matter?
Julie's like, "What do I need to buy? What pillowcase?"
So here's the thing. I will say lukewarm will always be better. The hot, hot water is never good for your scalp. It's never good for your hair. It's never actually good for your skin. Please never put your face right into that hot water. I don't follow anything I'm telling you. But yeah, like I come out and my body's like red. First of all, cold water is going to make the cuticle of someone's hair lay flat. It shuts it down. It, makes it nice and smooth. So hair will be shinier. Also, if you're trying to protect color, I would say many midlifers are coloring their hair. So if you're continually opening the cuticle of your hair with that hot, hot water, color's just releasing, permanent or demi, especially if you're getting toners. If you're washing your hair in hot water all the time, those toners are going right out. Julie, you have red hair with copper. So cold water is absolutely your friend. There's also a lot of statistics that show like the colder the shower, it's actually better for your metabolism.
For all of this great advice because I believe it is like the one moment of my day, my nice hot shower that I just love.
I love a hot shower.
I heard about a study. I think our mutual pal Gabrielle told me about a study where they took a heat protectant and they spread it on bread and they or on toast and they put it back in the toaster to show that these protectants do work because they had one piece without it and one with it, and the one without it just like color changed within 60 seconds and the one with it didn't change color. So I thought that was really validating and interesting.
Do you know who created that viral video?
You?
Was it you?
Me.
What?
During COVID in 2020, I was at home trying to make the content because I was no longer in the chair. And I sprayed my go to always, I don't care who you are, it works on your hair, Vitamino 10 and 1 from L'Oreal. And I sprayed it on one side of the bread. I put it in my toaster. It came out, and that side was glistening, and the other side was fresh.
That's so funny that that was you, Margaret. I love it. Well, now it's
Done it. Many people have done it. That was one of my most viral videos that I'd ever did. So
Keep buying that heat protector. I believe it. We can't talk about midlife hair without talking about gray. So talk to us. When to go gray? What are you hearing? I myself am like envisioning this happening in the next 5, 10 years. I'm nervous. What are you hearing from other women?
So I think the biggest thing, which I think is amazing, is that so many women, if you were in your 60s and 70s, those women are boom, they are in here every 3 to 4 weeks. They are never letting those grays come in. That's just the generation. They were taught women don't get old, right? Now, I have women that never start with root color. I really have I would say like my mid to late 30s clients that they're not really in it yet, but they have some, and instead of going immediately to a root, they're like, "Listen, I never wanna go to a root. I just want to embrace it, but can you make me, organically embrace it?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's 2 ways to do this." Back in the day, we were all taught, like, slap on the permanent color, see you every 4 to 6 weeks. Now, I, for instance, use a demi-permanent on my roots. I do have gray. I can't embrace it. I just can't. It's not me. I'm not confident enough. I openly admit it's a confidence thing. And my hair's so thin, when you color your hair, it expands the cuticle a little bit. So colored hair does feel thicker. That's how I always know when my roots are coming in. It's like, "Oh, my hair is feeling so flat." So it does benefit me. Like,
Mm.
someone like you 2, you guys have some pretty thick heads of hair there. You're probably not noticing that benefit, but someone with fine, thinner hair absolutely notices the benefit. So I have that. You do a demi-permanent. It grows out, without the skunk line, right? It kinda grows over time with fading. So, like, your
Mhm.
gray is still growing in, but it's a more natural approach to it. And then there's the woman that's like, "I don't even wanna do that. I don't wanna have to come in." And that woman, I would say, "Hey, let's just throw a few blonde pieces and kind of blend them." And that's more of a gray blending. And I gotta be honest, that is shockingly, that is what my new 30-year-olds are doing. My current 40-year-olds, they're already in their demis. My 30s, they are not wanting to enter the root world ever. I will say I've even had a lot of women that I was surprised, like they're in their 40s and they started letting it go. They were like, "I wanna grow it out," and that grow out process, once you've been doing the root color, there's so many different ways to go about it. Because once you've colored your hair, this is no longer virgin. The only virgin on your head is that little bit that grows in.
Speaking of virgins, shifting topics here for a minute, tweens and begging for highlights. What would you say to our listeners who have kids that are asking for highlights at a young
Okay,
age?
so I have to be honest, this is such, like, a touchy subject because I think I'm probably, gonna come off harsh. If you are going to do your daughter's hair, you need to teach them that it's a major investment. It costs a lot of money. So when they're walking around and right before school starts, they all come in and they go to whether it's Ulta, they go to me, they go to their best friend, they go to their hairstylist, whatever it is. They get these money pieces in the front or what we would do face framing pieces. Some of it, some terms now are Scandinavian where they take bleach right from the root and do like 2 chunks in the front. And then they let them walk around until the next year. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like, that looks horrible. If you cannot upkeep that for your daughter, I wouldn't do it.
What about aside from the looks piece, what about hair health? Like, is there anything about dyeing hair that's still virgin hair as we're on that topic, like young hair? Is that worse, better, same?
So, here's what I always tell, like, I had a few mothers actually over the years be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna let them color their hair. I'm just gonna let them do, sun-in." Sun-in is hydrogen peroxide. It's bleach. And then they come in and they're like, "I don't know what happened." I'm like, "'Cause you just threw bleach on a child's hair and let her go sit in the sun, which was a heater, it's a conductor, and it actually was
Mhm.
worse for the hair." So if your daughter is thinking about it, I do say the best thing to do, because the healthy way to do it is to go see a hairstylist. And I also so I think there's a lot of health factor. If you know your daughter is straightening their hair all the time, they're not allowing you to cut their hair, they're, "Oh, I found this on TikTok," and they have no clue what they're doing with their hair. No, they shouldn't get it because it's not gonna be healthy for their hair, and it's not gonna be that the color's unhealthy, it's that all the things they're doing are unhealthy. So then the hairstylist gets blamed for the bad hair, where in reality, if you have 7 inches of dead hair and then you're putting bleach on top of it, it's not good. So I think
Mm,
you need to talk about healthy hair with your daughter.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Have a conversation. Is there like a henna equivalent? Like a temporary tattoo that comes off after 5 days?
We actually just had a girl that, had gone to Target and she bought this. I'm not even gonna say what it is because I don't represent the brand. So it turned her hair purple, and it was a nightmare, and we had to tell her we couldn't fix it. We tried everything, we couldn't get it out. So I think if you are gonna do temporary, I will say I have seen positive things out of the Kristen Hess line, which is at Target, Walgreens, but when you are thinking temporary for the hair, that same thing goes with, like, the fashion color world, which is, like, purples, greens, blues, all that. If you ever see the word splat, that is just re-advertised, furniture dye. So,
Mm,
like, you don't want that. That's never coming out. But there are temporary things you can get. Just do your research. Do a test strand on your hair. Find out what it did. See how it goes. There's a lot of professional companies now that do, color depositing conditioners. So, if you're blonde and you wanted to see, like, a cooler blonde, it is depositing. It's gonna go on your hair, but it only lasts a few shampoos. A lot of companies have come up with that because that way clients can spend more time at home and less time coming in for their what we call the maintenance toner,
Yeah.
and they can use those instead.
Never heard of that. That's awesome. I'm writing things down.
Tell us about styles. What's trending right now for midlifers, Margaret?
I get asked this all the time, and I gotta be honest, I don't think there is a trend anymore. The other day, Behind the Chair, that's one of like the biggest ones that everyone follows in the hair world. They posted the new fall trends because those are already coming out. It was everything. It was literally everything. We had ash blondes, we had old money blonde. It was just like you had the at one point we had, cowboy copper. They're just coming out with names. It's just marketing. I always say the best trend is a trend that makes you feel beautiful. We haven't had a true trend alert in years. For a long time, the trend was the ombre. It was like the dark to blonde under here. That's a decade old at this point. Then we had the money pieces. Then we had the lived in. I will say the color, the blonde was starting to come up a little bit. Well, the lived in is coming back in. And one of the reasons the economy runs the budget of your hair, right? So when the economy is doing great, highlights right to the root. When the economy is doing not so great, lived in. I have been through every cycle now in my career to booming economies, not great economies, nervous economies, and hair. If you go back and look when the rooted looks came in, kind of goes hand in hand with the stuff.
Hear that because I also think that like following a trend, what looks good on one person is not going to look good on you. I'll never forget, Margaret, you told me this trick. Like if you find something that you like, I used to put all these things on my Pinterest board and you were like, put your thumb over the person's face. And I think you
Yep.
even said, look at it upside down
Yep.
because how
100%.
much of it is I want her hair or how much of it is I want to look like her? Maybe the trend now is like, do what makes you feel beautiful and do what
Yep.
looks best on you, not,
100%.
for Rachel Green.
And she hated that haircut. Literally, Jennifer Aniston hated that haircut. But so many of us got pictures of her. And she was probably the most showed when I first came into the career, the most showed. And that's where I learned that trick of cover the face. And do they want to look like Jen Aniston or do they want her hair? Like, what is it? So yeah, you gotta really dissect a consultation with a client.
And sometimes too, I don't know what the marketing is around it, expensive bob, whatever the bob look is. And I see that and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cute. I should try that." And then I remember that a bob on me is a very, very bad idea. What I really want is I want what she had. I want that. I want to be walking in the city right now with a cute pair of jeans and a blazer and a cup of coffee. That's what I want. I don't actually want that bob.
Well, I think the other thing is AI has definitely made women coming in these photos, and I'm like, "That's not even real.
Mhm.
That's not real hair, that's not real texture." The neck on a lot of the models that people show me, people don't even realize AI is not just altering the hair, they're altering the neckline. So, like,
Yeah.
a short, blunt cut on that model is gonna be, like, at your chin. Okay, but a model who's 5'10", 5'11", it's going to their collarbone. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think the editing has really changed a few things. I will say I have had a lot of women cutting their hair recently, though. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's happening."
Mm.
All right, Margaret. Well, we could talk to you all day. In fact, I would really like to. Can we do a part two of this? Doesn't even have to be for the podcast.
Yes, anytime. I'm always willing to jump on and teach things.
You've taught us so much. This conversation felt just like way more even scientific than I expected. So thank you. All right, Margaret. So tell our listeners where they can find you.
Okay, so if you are in the Massachusetts area or you travel here, we have many clients that travel from other places and come to us. I work at Gloss Hair Studio. I'm the owner. I have two fabulous employees that I also trained well back in the day. So they're completely seasoned like me now. And you can find us on Instagram at Gloss Hair Studio. You can also find me directly at the Color Connoisseur on Instagram. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on Vigaro, which is an online platform for booking. You can also email glosshairstudio203@gmail.com and we can answer any questions. We can even do virtual consultations.
Well, thank you so much, Margaret. And listeners, remember to follow us or subscribe wherever it is you get your podcasts and on social at The Real Midlife Confidential.
And we will see you next time for your reality check. And until then, keep your secrets safe unless you're telling us.